Coming up on FRC Recap, we've seen 6 weeks of Charged Up played this season, and we have 5 regional events and 9 district championship events from our correspondents from all around the world to join us to cover with extended breakdowns for our district championship events. Plus, later in the show, we'll have a giveaway from our friends at Andy Mark for those who are watching live. Stay tuned and get ready for FRC Recap.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. Kettering University is looking for talented robotics students who want to continue learning and innovating in a hands-on, real-world experience format. Kettering University representatives will be at dozens of FIRST events this season, including the championship. Go to kettering.edu/first to see which events you can meet a Kettering University representative. FRC competition season is here. Submit your favorite moments to FRC Clips of the Week by each Sunday at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. Also, the FRC Top 25 poll is open Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern to Monday 5 p.m. Eastern, where you can vote for your top 25 teams of the week at firstupdatesnow.com/FRC Top 25.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to FRC Recap for week 6 of the Charged Up season. I'm your host, Steve Londo. This week, Fun Correspondents will provide you with recaps of our 5 regional events and 9 district championships. Coverages will be a little bit different this week as we're going to be covering all of our regionals first and then the district championships. But following our typical region order going from East Coast to West Coast, stay tuned. If you're watching live or on YouTube, put in the comments which events have your attention or anything awesome that you saw that went down at events this week that you were at. Kicking off the show, as we do each and every week, is our first region, the Northeastern region, covering the U.S. Northeast. With one regional event to cover, let's bring on Nick V to talk about the New York City Regional. Nick, how did things shake out in the Big Apple?
Thanks, Steve. Kicking off our Week 6 slew of recaps, we start with the New York City Regional. Going into this electric event in the Big Apple, we've got a load of standout teams. Team 333, the Megalodons, Team 694, Pulse, 1796 Robo Tigers, and 2601 Steelhawks. We saw many of these teams at the Tech Valley Regional, and they really stepped up the competition. Taking a peek at Quals 59, we see 333, 694, and 354 for the Blue Alliance, and 9052, 5421, and 2265 for Red. 333 gets the charge station engaged in auto for the Blue Alliance, and Red scores a few game pieces. Right at the beginning of the match, we see the scores diverge, with Blue advantage. Red tries their best to keep up, but Blue has their travel paths down pat. The match ends with a double engage for Blue and what appears to be a partial dock with just one robot outside the Red community. Moving into the playoff bracket, there are a lot of good matches. Taking a look at Finals 2, we've got 1796, 694, and 8159 for Blue, and 334, 2601, and 353 for Red. Both alliances pull off an engage in auto right out of the gate. It appears that 694 and 1796 take on a scoring role, where 8159 plays lights out defense on Red, trying to shut them down in their community. Red gets a good scoring rhythm down, but they cannot keep up with Blue. With 55 seconds left to go, 1796 tips over 353, and it looks like they draw a red card. This means that Red ultimately takes the win with a score of 136-0. The Blue Alliance ultimately ends up winning the event, though, despite this hiccup. As for awards, 5665 Spark from Istanbul won the Regional Impact Award, 8739 Red Hawk Robotics won the Engineering Inspiration Award, and Team 9030 won the Rookie All-Star Award. We also saw a high score of 170 for the event, approaching the world record of 192-193 that we saw over the weekend at other events. Either way, with high-caliber teams like these, Champs is going to be crazy. But that's all for me. It's been an absolute pleasure doing recaps for the Nor'easter region. And now, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Nick. That's our only event in the Northeast this week, so we move on to the North region and welcome back Robofino, who is recapping the action from the Greater Pittsburgh Regional. Robofino, good to have you back. How was the Greater Pittsburgh Regional last weekend?
Yes, The Greater Pittsburgh Regional would be pretty gosh dang great. We would see 48 teams battle it out through 80 qualification matches, leaving the number one seeded team with 9 wins and 1 tie. This team would be 930 McWanago Bears, with a rank score of 3.8 and a 137 average match score. They would draft 1591 Grease Gladiators as their first pick and round off with 2656 Quasics. There would be an upset going into finals, though. We would see seed number 7, captained by 8393, the giant diacephalic brainstem, with their first pick 1781 Lindeblom Electronic Eagles, and rounding off with 2638 Rebel Robotics. We would go into finals match 1 and see red scoring almost 6 pieces in auto, with blue only getting a docked robot in auto as well. With some well-played defense on the go-between cycles, red would take the victory of the first match 180 to 148. The second match, we would see red getting that 6-piece auto, giving them a 9-point lead going into tally-up. Again, we would see red scoring fast and playing that same situational defense. Though at the end of the match, we would see red trying to make one last link, running out of time to engage. And a last-second attempt to get all 3 robots on that charge station would leave 1 robot parked and the other 2 only being docked. Though with 7 links on red and only 5 on blue, this would still be enough for red to take that win by only 7 points. Once again, congrats to 930, 1591, and 2656 on their event win. Also taking home the Impact Award would be Team 59 Ramtech, and getting that gold, silver, cling, bling, 930, taking home Engineering Inspiration as well. And that Rookie All-Star Award would go to 9022, Marion Center Robotics. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Robothino. And up next, we head over to the South region, and we're going to bring in James, who's here to break down both the Green City Regional and the Rocket City Regional. James, welcome back to Recap. Good to see you again. How things go out at your events this weekend?
Good to see you too, Steve. Starting us off is the Green Country Regional in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This event brought together teams from Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Missouri, Iowa, Arkansas, Australia, Mexico, Lesotho, Barbados, Colombia, and Belize. With such a diverse group of teams, it was anyone's guess who would come out on top. When qualifications finished, it would be Team 4013 Trobots from Kansas City, Missouri, who would seed first with a 9-1 record and a 3.4 RP average with 7 unicorn matches. They would form their alliance with 4th-ranked 1339 Angel Botics from Denver, Colorado, and round out the alliance with 25th-ranked 2373 the Crickets from Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. All Red Alliance teams would win their first round, with number 1 winning 136 to 85. Number 1 would then face 4th seed alliance of 5006 Apophis, 4646 Wildcard Robotics, and 3160 Frog, the first robotics organization of Grove. After back and forth action, the 4th seed would win the match 119 to 143. The 4th seed would then go on to match 11 and face the 2nd seed alliance of 1561 the Roboducks, 6424 Stealth Panther Robotics, and 2333 Screech. Both alliances would cycle effectively and triple dock and engage at the end. However, the final score would be 155 to 157, and that 1 game piece on mid would be all that Alliance 2 would need to move on to the finals. However, Alliance 4 would win match 13 and meet them for the rematch in the finals. Finals 1 would have auto end with a 9-point lead for Alliance number 1. After a field fall in the original match, however, it would be a field fall in the original match of Finals 1, and this would be technically a replay, would result in Alliance 2 not having their Alliance captain. They could not overcome the disadvantage, and the final score would be 120 to 134. Finals 2 would be an offensive scoring masterclass from both alliances, with the score trading back and forth between both alliances. After a last-second triple balance, Alliance 2 would take the win 175 to 171. It was tiebreaker time, and the match would start off very similar to match 2, but coordination from Alliance 2 and some issues on Alliance number 4 would lead to the largest gap of the series, as Alliance 2 would take the event 164 to 145. Congratulations to 1561, 6424, and 2333 for the regional win. Congratulations are also in order to 9244 Steam Bell from Belize for their Rookie All-Star Award, 6832 Steamex from Nuevo Leon, Mexico for their Engineering Inspiration Award, and 8711 the Midnight Ostrich Runners from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma for their first ever Impact win. Thanks to 6424 and 2333 having previously won events, 9244 and 5006 would both receive wildcards and invites to champs. We now head over 600 miles away to Huntsville, Alabama, where teams from Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Ohio, California, Indiana, Hawaii, Louisiana, Missouri, Minnesota, Kentucky, Arkansas, Colorado, Wisconsin, Brazil, and Mexico would come together for a last chance at qualifying for the first championship. The number one seed was secured by one of the teams who rolled the dice and registered late to the event, 39-37 Breakaway from Searcy, Arkansas. With a 9-1 record and a 3.8 ranking score, they secured the bonus RP in all of their matches. They would select 4th ranked 44.99 the Highlanders from Fort Collins, Colorado, and round out their alliance with the 22nd ranked 70-72 Ogre, the Opelika's greatest robotics engineers from Opelika, Alabama, to complete the alliance. The number one seed would easily win their first match, as would the Alliance 2 of 1466 Web Robotics, 179 the Children of the Swamp, and 2556 the Radioactive Roaches. Alliance 3 of 3630 Stampede, 2992 SS Prometheus, and 6517 Sono Robo would also easily win in round 1. However, Alliance 5 of 6823 USM Wildcats, 5472 Wild Stallions, and 5410 Eagle Botics would upset the 4th Alliance of 1038 Lakota Robotics, 8044 Denim Venom, and 1747 the Harrison Boiler Robotics. Heading into round 2, the higher ranked seed would win every match except for match 8, where Alliance 3 would upset Alliance 2 after 2556 tipped over while attempting a triple dock and engage. Round 3 would have the higher seeded alliances win once again, setting up a very interesting round 4. Match 11 would decide who would go on to finals, and it appeared that the captain of Alliance 3 had some robot issues and would play defense for almost the entire match. This would result in a score of 144-135 at Alliance 1 going on to finals. Match 12 would decide 4th place, and unfortunately for the 3rd time this season, 54-72's Alliance would fall to 179's Alliance, as the 2nd seed would move on. Match 13 would be a rematch of the 2nd and 3rd seed, with the 2nd seed showing much improved cycle coordination, but a late hit between 179 and 1466 would result in 1466 being disabled. However, a double dock and engage was all Alliance 2 would need to take the win, 162-157. Finals 1 looked like it would be a tragedy for Alliance 2, as after a ton of work from staff and other members of the Alliance, 1466 could not get their robot code to be read, and the match would be played at 2v3. After several cycles, however, 179 would tip over after going over the charge station and the charge station getting stuck. The resulting foghorn gave Alliance 2 the time they needed to get 1466 back to life. The official finals match 1 would start with a massive lead from Alliance 1. And back and forth cycling again from Alliance 2, getting the triple dock and engage to Alliance's 1 double. Many thought that this may be an upset. However, 158-148 and a win for Alliance 1 was the result. I wish I could tell you all that Finals 2 was another scoring clinic from both alliances, but this would be one of the unluckiest FRC matches I have ever seen. Just 6 seconds into the match, 39-37 would tip over after a very minor collision with 44-99, blocking one of the lanes into the Blue Alliance community. Less than 60 seconds later, 44-99 would then collide with 179, dislodging their battery and forcing them to E-stop. 30 seconds after that, 25-56 would tip over, blocking the other lane into the community. With 3 dead robots on one side of the field, the Alliances with 2 robots was able to double balance, resulting in a final score of 142-115, and your Rocket City champions, Alliance number 1. Congratulations to 39-37, 44-99, and 70-72 on the regional win. Congratulations are also in order to 92-80 Prepatech High Altitude Robotics from Mexico for their Rookie All-Star Award, and Wildcard Pride via 44-99, as well as 75-65 Sesai Sinai Roboticos from Brazil for their Engineering Inspiration Award, and 24-38 ILO Robotics from Honolulu, Hawaii for their Impact Award. Thanks to 24-38 being a Chairman's Award finalist from last year, 1466 would also receive a wild card. We had some great matches at both of these events this week, and there are many great teams who will be making their way to Houston where the level of play will be extraordinary. But with that, it is back to Steve to introduce our final regional before we head to talk about those district champs.
Thanks, James. Headed over to our last regional event. Let's bring in correspondent John, who's here to recap the Silicon Valley Regional. John, happy Recap Monday. Welcome back. How things go out at the Silicon Valley Regional last weekend?
This past weekend, we had quite an entertaining show at the Silicon Valley Regional. The powerhouse duo of 254 and 1678 sure set some expectations for Worlds coming in a few weeks. But here's a shout out to all the teams joining us from outside of the US for this regional. Coming from Mexico, Team 4010, Prepatech Nautilus. From Australia, 5985, Project Bucephalus. From Canada, 6390, Hestafis, and 3 teams from Taiwan, 7709 Formosa Pangolin, 8805 NKST 36, and 9126 Silverhawks. Let's jump right into the qualifications though. Looking at all the ranking points being racked up, a fun stat to note that there was 51 unicorn matches at this comp. On top of that, we saw some very high scoring matches as well, particularly in qualification 45. On top of that, the Blue Alliance, basically composed of 599 Robotics, 8840 Bay Robotics, and 254 Chesapeake, managed to develop the entire grid and complete a triple engage just as the buzzer rang. Though 20 points of foul favored their score, this match set an early tone down matches in playoffs would score. At the end of qualification matches on a sunny Saturday morning, we turn to the pure statistics and overall rankings and simply act surprised. So 254 was ranked first and 1678 was ranked second, 4255 was third. Of course, we know the Poofs would pick the circuits, but who knew that the top 2 teams would actually have a record of 8-1 and all 3 teams would have a ranking point of 33. 4255 Robodoors was actually the only team to have a perfect score of 9-0, but unfortunately they were seeded third due to lower average match points. Headed into playoffs, the top alliance consisted of 254, 1678, 100, and 2489, who would later be the substitute for this alliance. That being said, the double elimination bracket worked its magic, and we headed into the highest scoring match of the competition in the first match of playoffs. We hit a high of 207 with 17 foul points awarded, but the entire grid was filled and a triple engage was performed, and they obliterated Alliance 8 by over 70 points. In finals, Alliance 1 swept the competition in just 2 matches, which Alliance 3 put up a great fight against. On both occasions, the winning margin was less than 20 and both grids were nearly filled. Congratulations to the winning teams 254 the Cheesy Poofs, 1678 Sister Circuits, and 100 the Wild Hats, and 2489 the Insomniacs. For their valiant effort, shout out to the finalist team 604 Quicksilver, 972 Ironclaw, and 5171 Deus Ex Machina. Wildcards were awarded to 2489 and 604 based on Poofs and Circuits qualifications and a roll from prior events. Congrats to the Regional Impact Award winners from Australia, Project Bucephalus 5985, the EI winners 649 MSET Fish, and last but not least, the Rookie All-Star Team 9126 Silverhawks from Taiwan. It's been an amazing time here at Silicon Valley. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, John, and thanks to our regional coverage correspondents. Next up, we're going to be heading into our district championship coverage. District championships will have an overall longer coverage format, and events that had divisions will be broken up into their own coverage. So starting out with the Northeast, we had both the first Mid-Atlantic and New England district championships. We'll head over first to Otto, who was at the FMA champs. Otto, this was an awesome event. Help us detail what went down.
Thanks, Steve. The first Mid-Atlantic District Championship put the top 60 teams from 5 weeks of competition head-to-head. After 120 qualification matches filled with suspense, surprises, and even a few red cards, the seeds promised an intense competition. Some teams of note within the top 8 include 2539, the Krypton Cougars, 3314, the Mechanical Mustangs, 2590, Nemesis, and 1391, the Metal Moose. Other notable teams include 5895, Petty Robotics, and 1923, the Midnight Inventors. The Metal Moose tipped in qualification match 20, which seemed to doom their match. However, due to some quick thinking by their operator, they could right themselves and get back into the game. They would then go on to captain the 6th Alliance and win the Quality Award. Nemesis completely redesigned their game piece manipulator after their disappointing Week 1 performance. This proved to be an excellent decision, as they controlled the number 1 slot for a large portion of the competition. Krypton Cougars had a strong season coming into the competition, and they proved their worth by finishing in 3rd place. After declining an invitation from the first seed, Team 103 Cybersonics, they allied themselves with the Midnight Inventors and Team 484 RoboForce. The Midnight Inventors robot features the fastest cube cycling in the world, averaging 7.3 cubes according to StatBotics. Their performance is especially impressive considering that they completely redesigned their robot after their first event. Mechanical Mustangs showed their scouting prowess when they selected 5895, Petty Robotics, to join their alliance. Petty had a disappointing set of qualification matches, including one where they completely fried a Robo Rio. Along with 3142, Aperture, They had a combined EPA of 158. Together, they smashed their way through the upper bracket and found themselves in the final. It was a clash of titans when Krypton Cougars, the Midnight Inventors, RoboForce, Mechanical Mustangs, Petty Robotics, and Aperture met. With two close games, one of which had a completely full grid, taking them to a tiebreaker, it all came down to the final seconds. When both Midnight Inventors and Krypton Cougars missed the last piece needed for a full grid, the Mechanical Mustangs and their alliance seized the opportunity and gained an 8-point lead as they tried to balance with only 5 seconds left. If they missed the engaged, they would surely lose the match. With a last-second arm movement from the Mechanical Mustangs, the charge station found its balance, securing the win for the third alliance. The finals 3 score tied for the second highest combined scored of the season so far globally. This has established Petty Robotics as a dominant force in the FMA district, with their district championship winning streak emerging. The Impact Award was won by Team 321, the Robo Lancers, and Team 316, the Lunatics. The Engineering Inspiration Award was won by Team 203, Superbots, and 1676, the PASEC Pioneers. The Rookie All-Star Award was won by Team 9015, Questionable Engineering. In total, 26 teams are continuing on to the World Championships. All in all, this was a thrilling event filled with many last-minute saves and costly mistakes. What a way to wrap up this district. It has been an honor to cover the FMA district and highlight the most unique, competitive, or just plain cool teams. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Otto. Next, let's head over to the New England District Champs. And first up is Ari, who's here to break down the New England District Championship Mirror Division. So, Ari, what happened over on the Mirror Division?
45 of New England's top teams competed this weekend at the District Championship in the Mirror Division for a last chance roundup of district points. 90 qualification matches through Thursday and Friday would lead to some interesting seeding, with 5687 the Outliers taking the top spot. 5687 was a great robot, but at this level of play, averaging 5 cycles with a max of 7 just wouldn't cut it. The first seed would be declined by the 2, 3, and 4 seeds before selecting Team 6329, the Bucks Wrath, from outside the top 8. In the first matchup, Mir proved its depth when the 8 seed took the 1 seed by 10 points and knocked them to the lower bracket. The 3 seed also got knocked to the lower bracket in this first round, giving us a very diverse upper bracket. Our upper bracket finals in match 11 would see the 4 seed face off against the 2 seed. The 2 seed was captained by Team 133 Burt, a single substation specialist with a consistent 3-piece auto. Their first pick was a snippy double substation team 7407, the Wired Boars, and they'd round out their alliance with a high upswing team 238 Crusaders. They faced off against the 4 seed, captained by 195 Cyberknights, with 8085 Mojo, single sub specialist, and 4564 Orange Chaos, all around high placing team. The 2 seed took auto, but the 4 seed took Telly, and they tied in endgame. And it would be the 2 seed that came up on top and would head directly to the finals. The 4 seed would face off against another alliance archetype in the lower bracket finals, where teams 125 Neutrons and 319 Bob both pulled from the single and double subs, while 6763 Fusion filled the bottom row with cubes from the ground. Unfortunately, 125 would die in front of their community for most of the match, and the 2 robots left on the alliance could not match the scoring output. In divisional finals, 133's 2-seed alliance would post just 1 shy of a full grid and take the first match. In match 2, 195's 4-seed alliance would rally back, looking to complete a last link in the final 3 seconds of the match, but they would lose the engagement and send Powerhouse Alliance 2 onto the Artemis field as the winners of Mirror. Congratulations, teams 133 and 7407 on their first District Champs Finals appearance, and 238 on their second in back-to-back years. I'll hand it over to Steve to take us back over to Wilson. Thank you.
Thanks, Ari. Up next, let's bring on Connor to break down both the Wilson Division and the New England District Championships. So, Connor, how things shake out for you on the Wilson field and in the District Championships overall?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And thank you, Ari, for covering Mirror. 45 teams took the stage here on the Wilson field, all trying to become our subdivision winners. The 90 qual match schedule was a gauntlet, and a lot of teams felt the heat, mine included. At an event like this with so much firepower, nobody knew who would come on top. After the qualifying rounds, it was 1757 Wolverines who would seed first. They'd select 10th ranked team 176 Aces High and round off the alliance with 22nd ranked team 1699 Robocats. Our number 1 seed was nearly sent down to the lower bracket in their first playoff match by the 8th seed, only winning the match by 1 point. After that match, they regrouped and rearmed and won their next 2 matches, 173 to 167 and 190 to 152, and punched their ticket to the Wilson subdivision finals. In the finals, they faced off against the number 2 seed of 177 Bobcat Robotics, 63-28 mechanical advantage, and 467 the Colonials. Finals 1. Red hits their auto to near perfection, however, Blue did not. They have a lot of groundwork to do. Immediately into Telly, 1699 launches off the charging station and loses drive on their right side, giving Blue their big break to close the gap. Every other functioning robot played offense, trying to fill those grids to the max capacity. 20 seconds left to go. 1757 pushes 1699 onto the charging station and somehow manages to get a triple balance at the last second, only to be matched with a triple from Blue. The Red Alliance takes match 1, 172 to 149. Match 2. Red once again has a perfect auto, Blue near perfect, and we move on into Telly. A strategy change from Red this time around. 1699 moves to a defensive role. Both alliances scoring left and right, a fight to the end. Less than 5 seconds left to go. Both alliances go for the balance in 3, 2, 1, and a double triple in the closing second of the match. The scores get posted, and Red, your number 1 seed, wins match 2, 151 to 133, and becomes your Wilson winners. And this brings us to our grand finals, the Artemis Field. On Red Alliance, we have the number 1 seed from Wilson, 1757 Wolverines, 176 Aces High, and 1699 Robocats. They would face off against the Blue Alliance number 2 seed winners from Mir, 133 Burt, 7407 Wirebores, and 238 the Crusaders. If you're having some deja vu, well, it's because 2 of these teams were in our grand finals last year, 176 and 238. Only difference is this time, they're on opposite sides of the field. Both alliances take to the field, and finals match 1 is underway. It's a back and forth fight. Both alliances duking it out in epic proportions. It's a nail biter. We end a double triple balance, and the scores are posted. Red Alliance Wilson winners take match number 1, 182 to 180. Match 2 is just as crazy as the first, maybe even crazier. Once again, a back and forth match. Both 1757 and 238 both died on the field at one point, but both came back to life. Endgame. Blue Alliance gets a triple. 176, going for one last cube. 8 seconds left. The Red Alliance starts their triple balance. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and no! The Red Alliance just barely misses it. Blue Mir winners take match number 2, 190 to 159. And we go to the rubber match. The match starts. Wilson hits their auto. Mir, not quite as much. They have some catch up to do. It's an all-out brawl. Triple offense from both sides. Game pieces scored left and right. Again, Wilson looking to score one last second game piece. Mir gets a triple bounce in the last second of the match, and Wilson again misses the balance. The dust settles on the field. A silence falls upon the crowd. Game announcer James Lockman comes on the PA with the final score. Your New England District Championship winners, Team 1757 Wolverines, Team 176 Aces High, and Team 1699 Robocats, congratulations. Wilson takes match number 3, 185 to 183. A special shout out to our award winners. Congrats to 9101 Green Mountain Robotics on Rookie All-Star. Congrats to our 2 Engineering Inspiration Award winners, 5422 Storm Gears FRC and 5459 Ipswich Tigers. And finally, congrats to our 4 Impact winners, 1071 Team Max, 3654 Tech Tigers, 6328 Mechanical Advantage, and Team 166, Chop Shop. Congrats, guys. That's going to do it for me this year. Thank you all so much for watching this year's installment of the Northeastern Region Recap. I'll see y'all at World Championship next week and later on tonight on FRC Roundup. Steve, back to you.
Thanks, Connor. Over here giving me chills, hair on my arm standing up. Now let's head over to the Southeast region and bring on Griffin, who's here to recap the action from the first Chesapeake District Championship. Griffin, welcome back. How was Chesapeake Champs this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. Well, to say Chesapeake Championships was nothing but a barn burner is big understatement. The time had come for the grand finale of Chesapeake as 60 teams converged on George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia for the Chesapeake District Championships. Everyone was on their A game with match after match resulting in 4 RPs for teams, and even had one match with a full grid in match 71. After 120 qualification matches, sitting at the top was 1727 Rex from Lutherville, Timonium, Maryland, whose impressive streak of 11-0-1 was the only undefeated team during quals. They quickly picked up their partners from their win in Alexandria and 85-92 Newton Square from Fairfax, Virginia, and then rounded out the alliance with 2106 Junkyard Dogs from Goochland, Virginia. This alliance was a force to be reckoned with, as their impressive cycling and synergy brought them to an average score of 167 points during their eliminations run, taking down the behemoth alliances of the number 8 seed and the number 5 seed. Though it seemed they were poised to go undefeated, everything changed during match 11. Here, the number 1 seed faced the number 2 seed of 2363 Triple Helix from Newport News, Virginia, 1731 Fresta Valley Robotics from Warrenton, Virginia, and 2199 Robo Alliance from Finksburg, Maryland. Going back and forth in scores, the number 1 seed lost as the number 2 seed was able to score the current world record unpenalized playoff score of 191 points. Now in the lower bracket, they faced the number 4 seed in a tough match under defense, but it wasn't enough, as the number 1 seed won 176-162. Now it was time for the rematch and finals. The number 2 seed takes an early lead, and while the number 1 seed puts up a sturdy fight, they just fall short with one less link on the board. Now it's finals 2. The match goes off like usual. The number 1 seed seems to be picking up steam and keeping pace with the number 2 seed. Endgame starts, and the number 2 seed goes to balance early, getting the triple easily. The number 1 seed continues to score until 10 seconds left, and seeing that they've scored enough to be over the number 2 seed before balances are factored, the Blue Alliance climbs up, and the charge station is balanced. But 1727 is still touching the ground, which means the winners of the number 2 seed. Big congratulations to 2363 on their 7th event win in a row over 2 years, and to 1731 and 2199 on their first district championships banners. Huge congratulations as well to 1727 and 1629 Garrett Coalition on Engineering Inspiration, giving Rex a double silver cling bling. And big congrats to 5338 Robo Loco and 5587 Titan Robotics on Impact. Now I sign off for the season for covering Chesapeake, and am now excited to see the Chesapeake teams go on to Worlds to bring the heat. So I can't wait to see everyone in person at Houston. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Griffin. Staying in the Southeast region, let's bring back senior correspondent Justin to break down the Peachtree District Championships. Justin, thanks for joining us here again on Recap. How did things shake out at the Peachtree District Champs?
Well, being that I'm an alumni and a mentor of a South Carolina team, I had never been to a district championship event before, and let me tell you, this was crazy. The level of competition is a big jump from the qualifier events, and even more so than an average regional. There's a lot of things to talk about from this weekend, and there's no way I'm going to be able to cover all of it. The qualification matches were incredibly competitive, unlike the qualifier events where you could often go into a match knowing which alliance would win. Champs always had a strong team on both sides, and with the constant swing of Lady Luck, the outcomes were anyone's guess. When alliance selection came around, 1771 North Gwinnett would be number 1. They would select 2974 Walton, then add 5109 Gladiator Robotics to the lineup. This alliance looked unbeatable. When the second seed went to select, they got declined 5 times. Now it's time for the playoffs, and they would not go how anyone expected. In the first round, every match was an upset. 8 beat 1, 5 beat 4, 7 beat 2, and 6 beat 3.
Alliance 1 missed their triple engage at the hands of a string hitting off a robot and touching the carpet. However, had it been counted, the outcome would not have changed. The final score was 155 to 100 in favor of blue. When 6 faced 3, the match ended with a double triple engage and both alliances within 1 point of each other in the grid scoring. The Red Alliance would have won by that 1 point, but a team got stuck on the barrier and lost 15 penalty points to blue. In round 2 of the lower bracket, 1 would eliminate 4 and 3 would eliminate 2. In the upper bracket, Alliances 5 and 6 would win. Alliance 5 was an all South Carolina team led by 343 Metal in Motion, joined by 1102 Making Magic and 342 the Burning Magnetos. They would only just win this match, actually being outscored by the other alliance. However, 5 penalty points would go in their favor, including a thrilling conclusion to the match. Making Magic would make some magic. With 5 seconds left, 343 and 342 were on the charge station ready to go, with the charge station tipped towards the community. 1102 returned, quickly scored a cube, and went full send up the charge station for a quick engage. Final score, 162 to 159. In round 3 of the lower bracket, Alliance 7 faced number 1. Alliance 7 was led by 1683 the Techno Titans, joined by 1261 the Robo Lions, and 3489 Category 5. 7 matched 1 in auto, charge station, and park points, but managed to eliminate number 1 by 1 point on the grid. Also in round 3, Alliance 3 would eliminate 8. 8 actually outscored 3, but again, penalty points would make the difference. After all this, our finalists would be the number 5 Alliance led by 343 and the 6th seed Alliance led by 281 the Green Villains, joined by 1746 Auto and last season's rookie sensation 8736 the Mechanisms. In Final 1, both alliances had the same auto grid and mobility score. Blue engaged, but red only dot, giving blue an early lead. Cycles were fast and smooth, red nearly beating out blue in grid points, and at the end we would have a double triple engage, but the grid score wound up giving favor to the number 6 alliance. Red would take the first win, 147 to 130. Finals 2, unfortunately, was not as exciting as the rest of the playoffs, even for the winners. Both alliances matched scores in auto, but during auto, one of 343's radio wires got caught in a wheel and pulled out, and as we entered teleop, 342 took a huge impact from 1746, bending the frame rail and locking up the drivetrain. This would leave 1102 to run solo, and though they fought valiantly, they could not do it alone. Final score was red, 148 to 97. Congrats to our district champions, Alliance Captain 281, the Green Villains, their first pick, 1746, Auto, and certainly not least, 8736, Mechanisms. Also, special personal shout out to South Carolina teams for being 4 out of the 6 robots in finals. That's a huge for being our first year in districts and how hard we've had in the past years with regionals. And a big thank you to Georgia for letting us join the fun of districts. We can't wait to do it again next year. This year's rookie all-stars are 92-93, caffeinated, 92-60, built for bib. Engineering Inspiration Awards were earned by 85-75 Due Westerners and 41-12 Eaglebots, and winning the prestigious District Champs Award Impact Award was 34-89 Category 5 and 74-51 Avengers Robotics. A couple notable teams not previously mentioned who earned their way to champs on points are 44-51 Robots Garage, 69-19 the Commodores, 14-14 iHot, and also pre-qualifying for the Hall of Fame from 2018 was 13-11 Kell Robotics. And for the last time for me this season, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Justin. Next, we head up north to Canada, and Jeff is there to start us off and break down the events from the first Ontario District Championship in the Science Division. Jeff, thanks for joining us again here on Recap. How things go in the Science Division?
Well, thank you, Steve. This was certainly an exciting competition with a lot to cover, so I'm going to get right into it. Firstly, what an amazing showing. 40 teams, 80 quals matches, and as Karthik puts it, some of the best showcased right in Ontario. In this division were renowned favorites such as 610, 1114, 1310, 1325, 2013, 4039, 4678, 4907, 4917, 4946, 5024. I think you get the idea. If I could shout out all 40 teams, I would. This division was fantastic. At the end of the qualification matches, showcasing the skill of this division, the top 7 teams all had ranking scores of 3.0 or higher, and the top 27 teams all had ranking scores of 2.0 or higher. When the dust settled, however, it was 49-46 the Alpha Dogs taking the number 1 spot. They would go on to select 4678 Cybercavs and round out their alliance with 8729 Sparkling H2O. The first alliance would have a clean run through the upper bracket, winning matches 1, 7, and 11 to secure their spot in the finals. They would face the number 6 alliance, captained by 1325 Inverse Paradox. 1325 had actually declined the third seed captain, and it clearly paid off as they ran the lower bracket to make it to finals with their partners 4903 Mustangs and 3739 Oakbotics. Despite the 6 Alliance impressive run, the First Alliance would take finals in just 2 matches with scores of 179 to 174 and 174 to 162, a combined 17-point difference. So, congratulations to the number 1 Alliance. And I wanted to give a special shout out to the number 1 Alliance captain 4946. This is their first blue banner since 2017, and it's a district championship division banner at that. I also wanted to give a final shout out to 9263 ALD Lions on their Rookie Inspiration Award from the division. Now, unfortunately, I cannot personally attend champs this year, but I am currently planning a crazy volunteer schedule next year with hopefully some travel built in. With all that, though, perhaps for the last time this season, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Jeff. Up next, we have Emma, who's here covering both the technology division as well as the Ontario District Championship. Emma, thanks for joining us. So many questions. So, how did the science division go, or the technology division go? Who are going to face the winners of the science division? How did the Ontario District champs go? Emma, please help us out. How things go?
Thanks,
up in
Steve.
Canada.
This event was crazy. Going into it, I did have an idea of how it would go, but boy, was I very wrong. This division had a lot of amazing teams ready to prove to the province that they have what it takes to compete on the world stage. The technology field had its fair share of problems throughout the event as well. From the FMS issues to being up to 2 hours behind schedule, these were unfortunate setbacks. One of the biggest upsets on the technology field was probably 2056 OP Robotics not seeding first and captaining the second alliance instead. Despite running extremely far behind during the second day of qualification matches, the FMS problems caused 3 matches to be replayed. Although in my opinion, it should have been more, but there just wasn't enough time. Qualification match 80 flipped everything upside down right before alliance selections. With a total of 4 teams with yellow cards during this one match, they had to be really careful. Team Dave, who was ranked 3rd, lost a swerve module, rendering them mostly immobile during the match. This dropped them down to 5th and shifted the rest of the rankings. After 80 qualification matches, the top 8 teams going into alliance selections were as follows: 4476 Waffles, 2056 OP Robotics, 4976 Revolt Robotics, 7558 Alt F4, 3683 Team Dave, 1241 Theory 6, 5406 Celtex, and 6978 Quick Strike Niagara. After a crazy playoff bracket where the second alliance, 2056, 2200, and 4992, was sent to the lower bracket by Alliance 7, 9098, 3161, and 2702, we saw Alliance 1 and 2 go head-to-head in the finals. After a close 2-point game in Finals 1, the second alliance took the gold in 2 matches. Congratulations to the finalists, 4476 Waffles, 3683 Team Dave, and 1360 Orbit Robotics. Now on to the Ontario Provincial Championship Finals. The final matches between the 2 division winners had both alliances taking 1 match to send it to a tiebreaker. The Technology Alliance took the first match 180 to 169. The Science Alliance, not wanting to give up the gold, completed a full grid and won the second match 192 to 166. In the tiebreaker match, 4678 and 2200 colliding resulted in 2200 riding over Cybercab's bumpers and falling over. This unfortunately resulted in a red card and a win for the Technology Alliance. Now, there's been a lot of discussion on the rules surrounding intentionally tipping robots on Chief Delphi if anyone is interested in that conversation. Congratulations to all 6 teams that played in the final 3 matches. The list of teams who will be going to Worlds from Ontario is not official, but I do want to highlight those who won awards that will send them to champs. Congratulations to 4039 Makeshift, 6865 Manitoulin Metal, and 772 Saber Bites for winning the Impact Award. 1241 Theory 6 for Engineering Inspiration, and 9062 Critical Circuits for Rookie All-Star. Good luck to all the teams going to the World Championship in Houston. I know you will make Canada proud. That's all from up here in the north. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Emma. Before we get into our recaps for MSC, let's bring on producer Tyler to talk about our sponsor, Kettering University.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. Kettering University is going to be at the World Championship sponsoring the Archimedes Field. And of course, all over. If you were at any of the district championships, Kettering University had a great presence there as well, too. But Kettering University has a bunch of summer camps coming up that you may be interested. They're available from first grade all the way through high school graduates from all different fields, from women in STEM to different engineering courses to ones that are focused even on FIRST robotics as well. So go ahead over to kettering.edu/first to learn more about the different summer camps and to learn more about Kettering University to see if it's a great fit for you. And make sure you check them out at the World Championships, especially as they sponsor the Archimedes Field.
Thanks, Tyler. Up next, we head into our next region, Intimidation, our first in Michigan, and we had the Michigan State Championships, and we have 4 divisions to break down. Up first, we have Lily, who is fieldside all weekend long and is here to break down the action from the Aptive division. Lily, welcome back to Recap. How things go on Aptive this weekend?
Hi, Steve. At the Michigan State Championship, we saw amazing robot play in the Aptive division, which gave us many surprises this weekend. Starting us off, the Aptive division saw a first in Michigan high score with no penalties before the interdivisional playoffs in qualification match number 75. In this match, both alliances were tied 40-40 coming out of the autonomous period. The Blue Alliance immediately started off the teleop period with an instant quick cycles in an aim to widen the gap in the score between the two alliances. The Red Alliance, however, was able to keep up with them nearly neck and neck until around 95 seconds left in the match, where the Red Alliance jumped ahead significantly. And by the end game, the Blue Alliance had a full grid, and in the end, the Blue Alliance was able to secure a 3-robot balance on the charge pad, and the Red Alliance with a 2-robot balance. The Blue Alliance won that match with a score of 190-136. As we narrow down into eliminations, we would see the number 1 alliance meet the number 5 in the finals. In the finals, both alliances secured 1 match each, sending the Aptive division into a finals tiebreaker. And in the tiebreaker, the Red Alliance came out of auto with a 6-point lead against the Blue. In teleop, we saw a great robot play as both alliances were able to keep up with each other in scores throughout the match. It was so close that as the 2 alliances entered the endgame, there was only a 3-point difference in scores. In the endgame, it truly became anyone's game. Both alliances tried their best to secure last-minute game pieces to their grid before climbing the charge pad. However, the Blue Alliance was able to secure a 3-robot balance while the Red could not get up in time. The final score was a close one, and everybody knows I love close matches, of 181-179, in which the number 5 alliance was able to secure the win for the 2023 MSC Aptive division. Congratulations to the Aptive division winners, the number 5 alliance, captained by team 7769 the Crew, 5166 the Freeland Fabricators, and team 5901 the Electric Eels. Now, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Lily. Up next is James, who's here to bring us the action from the Consumers division. James, I was paying attention to Consumers and DTE mostly this year, so tell the people how good the action was on Consumers.
Thanks, Steve. The Consumers Energy Foundation division was an emotional roller coaster filled with declines, close matches, and lots of incredible robots. We saw defending world champs 3175 Night Vision, Hall of Fame Team 51 Wings of Fire, 2-time world champion 469 Las Gorillas, and so many other high-level FIM robots duel for the number 1 seed. 100% of matches saw the cooperation bonus met, and every winning alliance in Quals earned 4 ranking points. Quals 69 was one of the closest matches this season to a perfect score, as 494, 5712, and 3175 put up 186 unpenalized points. At the end of Quals, there was a 3-way tie for first place. 51 Wings of Fire claimed the number 1 seed with an average match score of 143 points. 3175 Night Vision took the 2 seed with an average match score of 141. And 4422 the Twisted Angels took the 3rd seed with an average score of 137. Things got spicy in alliance selection as 3175 declined 51 Wings of Fire, choosing to form their own number 2 alliance. 51 then selected Team 818 the Steel Armadillos to form their top seed. 3175 digs into the 20s and selects Team 494, the Martians, for the second alliance. Team 4422 selects 4th ranked Team 4003 Trisonics. However, they respectfully decline. 4422 then picks up the two-time district winner, 3655, the Tractor Technicians. 4003 attempts to pick 5712, Hemlock's Gray Matter. However, they also decline, opting to form the 6-seeded alliance themselves. 4003 then selects 1701, the Robocubs, and the declines are finally over. The playoffs went relatively as expected, with the top-seeded alliance winning every matchup in the upper bracket. The number 1 and 4 alliance matchup was incredibly close, and both alliances had a robot breakdown at some point during the match. However, the number 1 alliance was able to edge it out, 149 to 146. The number 2 alliance also narrowly edged out the number 3 alliance, winning 162 to 158. The finals matches were close, and ultimately sent to a tiebreaker match. It came down to the wire, and the number 3 alliance was about to take a trip to Fimstein with a triple balance, but weren't able to convert as time expires. Congratulations to the number 1 alliance and the winners of the Consumers Energy Foundation Division, Team 51 Wings of Fire, Team 818 the Steel Armadillos, and Team 226 the Hammerheads. Best of luck to the many FIM teams competing in Houston, and now, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, James. Speaking of DTE, up next, let's bring on Dan to break down the action from the DTE field at MSC. Dan, how's everything this weekend?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. DTE sat in the middle of the pack, really, for the fields this week in FEM in terms of scoring and ranking points. But to put into perspective of how many ranking points were scored, the team that ranked last got 19 ranking points, and that was enough to be a top 10 seed at multiple early district events. Qualifications would be really tight with the amount of ranking points handed out. 862 would take the first seed going 10-2 with 43 ranking points. 7211 would end up with 42, and 245 would take third with 41. Alliance selections would kind of see a bit of a mini scorch. 862 would try to pick 2075, who was the event favorite going into qualifications, who declined them. I would pick up 4362, and 7211 would try to pick 1718, who also declined them, before selecting 3620. Playoffs would start quiet, but chaos would quickly break loose. In round 3, we would see the exit of the second alliance to the 5th seed. In round 4, we would see the pivotal match 11 be decided when the third pick of the number 1 alliance would get tipped, resulting in a red card for the blue alliance and and that alliance going to the lower bracket. The number 5th alliance would get revenge for their round 1 loss to the 4th alliance by beating them and knocking out the 4th alliance to the tournament. That set up a round 5 of 5v3 to try to go to the finals, and in there, the 5th seed would beat the 3rd seed flat out to advance to the finals. However, all of the matches and playoffs are really tight. The 5th seed, which was one of the teams that got to the finals, had an average score margin of 3.6 points. That was just how close a lot of these alliances were in FEM, mostly due to having competitive third picks that we didn't see in some of the other districts. In Finals 1, the first alliance would miss the auto balance and really just not recover. The number 5 alliance would win 149 to 143. Finals 2, both alliances would try to go triple offense until the top row was scored, and we'd see the 5th alliance then change up their strategy to go 2 offense and 1 defense. When they did go to that 1 defense, though, the number 1 alliance would run away at that point and win 156 to 136, setting up a Finals 3. In Finals 3, we'd see a similar strategy once again, so the number 1 alliance would have the lead going to end game. However, they would fail to engage the charging station as time expired. The number 5 alliance would win 150 to 138. With that said, congratulations to the 5th alliance for the gold, consisting of 5907 CC Shambots, 503 Frog Force, and 1189 the Gearheads. And congratulations to the number 1 alliance on the silver, consisting of 862 Lightning, 4362 the CSPA Gems, and 1025 MP Robotics. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Dan. Finally, let's bring on Mike to break down both the Ford division and the action from Fimstein. Mike, welcome back to Recap. So, how things shake out on Ford Field, and who will be the final alliance to join Fimstein and represent Ford Field? Who was crowned Michigan State champion this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. The Ford division was stacked with talent, featuring several full grids and qualification matches. Rankings were contested to the very last match, where 4381 had to put up 4 RP to narrowly clinch the first seed. 4381 Twisted Devils of Richland went for the repeat pair-up of their Muskegon partners, 3538 Robo Jackets, and then added 3536 Electro Eagles from Heartland to the alliance. The main shakeup in alliance selection occurred at the 2 seed, though, where 3668 Trobots from Whitmore Lake was declined by selected 27 Rush and 4391 Bravebots, who both declined them. Things looked good for the 1st seed. They left only one open node in the bottom row in the grid in both of their first 2 matches. But in match 11, they came up against the 3 seed, who had also been putting up nearly full grids. In a very tight match, 4381 and 3538 were both scoring pieces with 4 seconds left in the match, and that meant they couldn't quite get the balance. 4381 just didn't get on the platform. So this sent the 3rd seed to the finals, captained by 6090 Wayland Wildcats, who selected 1506 Metal Muscle from Flint, and they got an absolute steal of a pick with 217 Thunder Chickens. Thunder Chickens have been having issues all through qualification with their gyro, making the robot nearly impossible to drive. And it made it a risky pick, but they had it figured out by elims. So their alliance's score going into the finals was a 170 as the low. Match 13 put the 1 and 2 seeds against each other, and one put up the Ford Alliance high score of 182, earning themselves a spot back in the finals in a rematch against the 3 seed. Finals 1 was off to a tough start for the 1 seed. They didn't get the dock in Auton and missed mobility. But they did nail 6 game pieces. So they had a 12-point deficit coming out, and a penalty against 1506 for a loading zone infraction gave the match to the 1 seed, 173 to 169, but it was really tight. Finals 2 was a nearly identical start. 1 seed came out with the Auton deficit, but 217's arm had a mechanical failure, and they had to pivot to defense. Unfortunately for them, they drew 2 penalties, hitting 3538 in the frame perimeter while they were playing defense, and Blue looked to have a slight lead, but 3536 fell off the charge station with 8 seconds left, and they did not make it back up. They settled for the park. So the charge station points made the difference, and the 3 seed was able to win the match 165 to 170. Finals 3 saw Chickens get it together. They got everything repaired, and 3536 nailed the balance in Auton. So the 1 seed was only slightly down by mobility. With 62 seconds left in the match, 6090 went over the charge station, and when they came down, it seems they lost power. So it looked like real trouble because they wouldn't be able to get the triple balance. But a loading zone penalty and a cube that was deemed to be just slightly past the line cost the 1 seed a link, which gave the division win to the 2 seed, taking the match 163 to 161. Congrats to 6090, 1506, and 217 for winning the Ford division. And of course to 4381, 3538, and 3536 for an impressive finalist performance. Now, moving on to Fimstein. Fimstein was wild. It's worth noting the new bracket structure kind of impacted Fimstein. Because we have 4 divisions, we saw a 4-team double elim tournament. And I think that did a great job of making sure the right teams made it to the finals. Teams came out swinging. Looking at the division averages, I kind of expected Ford to do really well. Their low score was a 163 when they had a broken robot, and that was above the average score of every other division. So it would have been an easy assumption to think they would make quick work of Consumers, but Consumers Alliance of 51, 818, and 226 had something else to say about that. They put up the FIM high score of the year with a flawless 191-point performance that no one saw coming. They only missed the 2 Auton game pieces. And Ford was no slouch. They put up 181 points in that match, but congrats to Consumers on a near perfect match. That combined is the highest scoring match in FIM. And I haven't checked it, but maybe the world, we'll see. On the other hand, DTE had a rough go of it against the Aptiv Alliance, 7769, 5166, and 5901. DTE's 1189 stopped moving with 87 seconds left in the match, giving them very little hope of winning at this level. DTE was bumped to the lower bracket where 5907 CC Shambots and 503 Frog Force had to bring in the substitute 5926 Demoose. Swapping teammates so late can be a tough one, and against the mighty Ford Alliance of 6090, 1506, and 217, there wasn't much they could do. Consumers versus Aptiv match in the upper bracket was close, but no dock and engage in Auton made a big difference to the score. So Consumers took the match 172 to 155. and Ford was able to take out Aptiv in a similar manner, earning their way to the finals, a rematch against the Consumers Alliance. These two matches were intense. Finals 1 was exactly what we all were hoping to see in the Fimstein finals. Clean match, dead even out of Auton, 2 full grids coming down to the last second. 51 scored the last cone and tried to balance, but Consumers didn't leave themselves enough time, and 51 just barely missed the charge station. One cone on the Ford side was slightly over the line, so they didn't get the perfect 190, and if which would have made the difference if the Consumers Alliance was able to nail the grid. But Ford took the match 183 to 168. And finals 2 was a mess. 818 plowed past the midline in Auton and hit a game piece on the blue side, earning them a tech foul and a regular foul. And their CAN bus on Rio 2 didn't initialize properly. So the PCM that ran the disc brake on their arm just couldn't release their arm. They couldn't use their arm all match, and they were forced to play defense. So when all hope seemed lost, 818 gave 217 a hard, clean hit, and their battery came unplugged. So both alliances were in recovery mode. Neither alliance did more than 4 links, and both drew additional fouls trying to play defense and bumping around. But losing 818's strong scoring performance and the heavy penalty deficit in Auton was just too much for the Consumers Alliance. So Ford took the match 153 to 130. Congrats to 60, 90, 1506, and 217 on their first Fimstein wins, and 51, 818, and 226 for impressive finals performance. It really was a matchup that we all wanted to see. It was an excellent performance from all teams. Impact Award went to 201, the Feds from Rochester, 5166, Fabricators from Freeland, earning them a Kling Bling with the division win they had. 548 Robostangs from Northville, 226 Hammerheads from Troy, earning them a Kling Bling as well, which is amazing for them. You can't ask for more coming out of going into a state championship. And then 245 as well, Adam Bots from Rochester Hills. And then EI went to 3875 Red Storm Robotics. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Mike. We've got, wow, crazy. Couple of double gold Kling Blings there for a couple of Michigan teams. That's pretty awesome to see at MSC. I want to take one quick second to shout out 9312 Nerd Spark from Albion and 9148 Atlas from Westland, my hometown, John Glenn High School. They both took home the Rookie All-Star Awards, and Woody Flowers one of the Woody Flowers finalists, Chris Purdy from 3534 House of Cards. I know that dude personally, and he works really hard. It's really awesome to see that recognition. So congrats to Chris. Up next, we're heading to the North region, where Adam is here to break down the action from the first Indiana State Championship. Adam, how things shake out at the Finn State Champs this weekend?
Thank you, Steve. Welcome, everyone, to the Finn District State Championship. With the top 32 teams competing for 10 spots at champs, matches were incredibly close. Many teams crushed it across the 2 days of competitions, with a few favorites at the event. 74-57 Super Duper averaged 9 pieces a match, as well as finally got the chance to show their self-riding technique using their intake and arm. Team 461 Westside Boiler Invasion was close behind them, averaging a total of 8 game pieces a match, and a drive team with ice in their veins, leading to amazing plays such as a 4-second triple engage in finals. 6498 Castle Robotics has been quite the underdog this season, having some amazing driving has led them well, going from being the 31st team in the state to a captain in the district championship. With an everybot, their team was nuts on the field and made a strong opponent both in qualifications and playoff matches. Last on our highlighted teams is Team 5010 Tiger Dynasty. Their multi-stage elevator has allowed them to keep fast cycles as well as avoid too much jamming due to their opportunistic defense in between placing game objects. Moving on to playoffs, we saw the third alliance made up of Team 7617 Roboblazers, Team 5010 Tiger Dynasty, and Team 7657 Thunderbots win their first match before a close loss and match 8 to Alliance 7. Despite falling to the lower bracket, this alliance managed to stay alive, winning a match via tiebreaker on charge station points, and until they had to rematch against the 7th alliance. Winning by a single point, The third alliance secured a spot in finals against the Gold Alliance, led by 7457 Super Duper, 461 Westside Boiler Invasion, and 328 Penn Robotics Golden Rooks. Despite having paired up and winning the Tippecanoe event, the first alliance couldn't keep the same momentum they kept throughout the earlier playoff matches. After a grueling back and forth, Finals 1 ended in a score of 160 to 166 in favor of the third alliance due to the Red Alliance missing a high link. The following match had some heavy defense following 7457's arm breaking in the beginning of Finals 2, with some of the lowest scores either alliance had seen. With a final score of 123 to 152 in favor of the third alliance, the event ended crowning them state champions, as well as RoboBlazers winning 2 seasons back-to-back. Moving on to awards, we saw Team 135 Penn Robotics Black Knights win Impact, Team 6721 Tinley Trailblazers win Engineering Inspiration, and Team 9071 Slicer Tech win Rookie All-Star. With 6 of Indiana's 10 championship spots filled, we are left with the final 4 going to point slots. In order, Team 461 Westside Boiler Invasion with 290 points, Team 7457 Super Duper with 284 points, Team 4272 Maverick Robotics with 257, and Team 1501 Thrust with 241. Congrats to all our teams moving on, as well as to everyone who competed this season. Good luck and safe travels to those moving on to the Houston Championship, where I hope to meet many of you in the box, as well as those starting off-season preparations for another exhilarating season. Thank you for joining me and the FinFam throughout the 2023 season, and thank you to the FinFam for giving me a great action-packed senior year. For possibly the final time, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Adam. Before we get into our last few championship recaps, let's go ahead and start our giveaway. Here to tell you a little bit more about that is our producer, Tyler.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. We're going to be giving away for our friends at Andy Mark. We got a couple really cool things to give away on this. So, starting out, we have colored collar clamps. Say that 5 times fast. One of each color coming in. They have black, blue, gold, green, purple, and red. And if you're interested in winning that, ducks is the keyword. You have to type that in chat right now. Type in ducks. That's your opportunity to win. And they're also going to be giving away a sticker pack, the Andy Mark sticker pack, of course, with the duck sticker as well, too. So if you're interested in winning either of these from our friends at Andy Mark, we'll draw it as one giveaway after our live show has expired. Type ducks in chat right now. That's your opportunity to win. We'll be drawing in just a few minutes. And thanks again to Andy Mark for the awesome giveaway.
Thanks, Tyler. Up next, let's head down south and bring on Riley, who's here to break down the First in Texas District Championship. Riley's here to break down the action from the Apollo Division. Riley, thanks for joining us. How things go down on the Apollo Division this weekend?
Thank you, Steve. Howdy, y'all. The Apollo Division breakdown was crazy with teams like 1477 Texas Torque, 2468 Team Appreciate, and their third team 2689 Alpha, 3847 Spectrum, 6800 Valor, and many incredibly other competitive teams. 77 out of the 80 qualification matches ended with one or both scores totaling over 100 points, and we saw our first Apollo Division full grid in Qual Match 50. The final score in Qual Match 50 was 187 points, and it was achieved by 5414 Paradox, 6672 Fusion Core, and 6377 Howdy Bots. Final rankings were a little bit unexpected, with teams like 1477 Texas Torque ranked 18th, 6800 Valor ranked 24th, and 5414 Paradox, who, like I mentioned earlier, was one of the teams to complete the grid in Qual 50, ranked 27th out of 40. Alliance selections were exciting, with the first-ranked team 6672 Fusion Core selecting the fourth-ranked team 2468 Team Appreciate. The second-ranked team 1296 Full Metal Jackets invited 14th-ranked team 6377 Howdy Bots to join their alliance, and the third-ranked team 6369 Mercenary Robotics initially invited 9th-ranked and 8th Alliance Captain 3847 Spectrum to their alliance, but they declined, so they then invited 1477 Texas Torque, who had finished ranked 18th. Final alliances were as follows. The first alliance captain was 6672 Fusion Core. The first pick was 2468 Appreciate, and the second pick was 3679 Rattlers. The second alliance captain was 1296 FMJ. First pick was 6377, and second pick was 5892 Energy Heroes. As follows. Things kind of fell down through alliance selection the way that they were expected to, with the initial note that the 6th Alliance captain was actually a rookie team, 91-28 It Can Robotics. Playoffs had some pretty interesting updates, with the 7th Alliance beating the 2nd Alliance in match 3 with a score of 132-90. The 6th Alliance beating the 3rd Alliance with a score of 156-32. And then continuing with the upsets, in round 2, match 6, the 3rd Alliance knocked out the 2nd Alliance with a match score of 136-129. The 4th Alliance knocked out the 3rd Alliance with a match score of 159-127. The 5th Alliance knocked out the 4th Alliance in their second match against each other with a score of 163-159. And the 6th Alliance knocked out the 5th Alliance with a 1-point different match with a score of 144-143. In finals, the 1st Alliance beat the 6th Alliance in both matches with a score of 172-143 in the first match and a score of 199-105, which was the division high score in the second match, sending them to the grand finals against the Mercury division. Huge congratulations to all of the teams who competed at the 1st and Texas District Championships and to all of the teams who moved on to World Championships. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Riley. Up next, let's bring on Tassif, who's here to break down both the 1st and Texas Champs Mercury Division and the Fit Champs Finals. Tassif, thanks for joining us again. How did everything shake out at Fit Champs this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. Now, heading to the Mercury field where everything seemed out of control. When the divisions were released, everyone's eyes were wide open. You had teams such as 118 Robonauts, 148 Robo-Wranglers, 3005 Robo-Chargers, 3310 Blackhawk Robotics, and many more. Literally, the majority of the Texas Powerhouse teams were on this field, and this was everyone's game. Literally, anybody could take it. During quals, we almost saw our first taste of a full grid in qual 17, but the winning alliance was just missing 1 link's worth of game pieces. But 5 matches later, in qual 22, we saw our first ever full grid this past weekend, with the winning alliance being 3310, 118, and 2158 the Austin Cans, and with the final score of 182-92. But that's not all. We saw another full grid in qual 71, and guess who was the winning alliance? 118, 148, and 3005. The final score was 192-132. The 192 was the highest qual score between both divisions, and it was unpenalized too. Now, sure, at DCMP level, 2 full grids doesn't seem enough, but trust me, there were so many matches that were literally less than 1 or 2 links worth of game pieces away. Another fun fact, 78 out of 80 qual matches had the winning alliance score over 100 points. Now, onto alliance selections. Just like with Apollo, the rankings were everywhere. 118 was number 1, 624 Kryptonite was number 2, but then you have 3310 at 7, 148 at 11, and 3005 at 12. Alliance selection was about to get interesting, so let's talk about the top 3 teams, the top 3 alliances that happened. 118 picked 3005 and 8576 Golden Warriors Robotics for the number 1 alliance. 624 invited 2687 Team Apprentice, but declined. So 624 picked 148 and 4192 Jaguar Robotics for the number 2 alliance. For the number 3 alliance, 2687 was alliance captain, so they picked 3310 and 8370 Glow with the Flow. Now on to playoffs. In round 1, Alliance 5 beat Alliance 4 in match 2, 146-106. In round 2, Alliance 7 beat Alliance 7 in match 6, 152-148. Also in round 2, Alliance 3 acquired 9088 NASA's Mark Infinity as a backup bot, and Alliance 3 also beat Alliance 2 in match 8, 181-155. In round 3, no upsets, so 2 beat 4 in match 10 and 5 beat 7 in match 9. In round 4, we also saw no upsets, as well as 2 beating 5 in match 12 and 1 beating 3 in match 11. But fun fact about match 11. Match 11 was the only match so far to have a full grid, and the final score was 190-145. In round 5, Alliance 3 beat Alliance 2 in match 13, 180-160, sending Alliance 3 to the finals. In finals, it was 1v3 all over again as they met up in match 11. So, will Alliance 3 have a comeback? In finals, Alliance 1 filled up the entire grid. In finals 1, Alliance 1 filled up the entire grid, and Alliance 3 was only 2 game pieces away from filling up a grid as well, but Alliance 1 took the win, 192-178. In Finals 2, both alliances were one game piece away from filling up a full grid, but alas, Alliance 1 came with the win, 189 to 183. Congratulations to 2687 Team Apprentice, 3310 Blackhawk Robotics, and 8370 Glow with the Flow, and 9088 NASA's Mark Infinity for putting up a great fight and becoming the 2023 First in Texas Mercury Division finalists. Now, heading to what I would like to call Fitstein, especially since we had all the head refs this past First in Texas season wear their yellow head ref shirts on the Mercury field for the finals for the 2023 First in Texas DCMP. We had the final number one finals for both Apollo and Mercury going head to head, with Apollo being blue and Mercury being red. In Finals 1 in Auto, both alliances were able to score 4 game pieces, engaging on the charging station, but Mercury was able to take the lead 45 to 41 as Mercury placed all their game pieces on the high nodes. And tally up, it was neck to neck. All six robots on the field was playing full offense. Later in the match, Mercury gained a huge lead, but Apollo caught up, and it was still back and forth on alliances placing game pieces. Right at the 30-second mark, it was tied up 128 to 128, according to the live score. Now for Climb, Apollo had all 3 robots up on the charging station with 5 seconds to remain, but Mercury was missing 3005. 3005 had just placed the final game piece to complete a full grid on their side of the field, but with 5 seconds left, 3005 had to balance. Once the timer hit 0, it looked like Mercury didn't balance at all. But out of nowhere, 3005 somehow moved enough on the charging station to give Mercury the win, 190 to 181. In Finals 2, in Auto, we had robots have semi-failed autos, especially 2468, whose auto did not successfully engage, which hindered them giving the score after auto 40 to 31 in favor of Mercury. In Tele-Up, same thing as Finals 1. It was neck to neck. The live score was always tied up, and all 6 robots were doing full offense. But with less than a minute left, 8576 intake seemed to stop working, causing them to have to play defense. But that wasn't an issue, as 118 and 3005 was able to continue to cycle game pieces at the end of the match, and all robots docked and engaged on the charging station. When the match was over, the scores came up. Mercury had won with a score of 169 to 152. Congratulations to 6672 Fusion Corps, 2468 Team Appreciate, and 3679 Rattlers for winning the Apollo Division, as well as becoming the finalists of the 2023 First in Texas District Championship. Huge congratulations to 118 Robonauts, 3005 Robochargers, and 8576 Golden Warriors Robotics for winning the Mercury Division, as well as winning the 2023 First in Texas Championship. For awards, this is going to be a long list as we have 3 Impact winners, 2 Engineering Inspiration winners, and 2 Rookie All-Star winners. Let's start with Rookie All-Star. Congratulations to 9136 Rampage and 9128 ItCan Robotics for winning the 2023 First in Texas District Championship Rookie All-Star Award. For Engineering Inspiration, congratulations to 2468 Team Appreciate and 6357 The Spring Constant for winning the 2023 First in Texas Regional Engineering Inspiration Award. Now for this Impact Award, congratulations to Team 118 Robonauts, 2714 Barbecue, and 5414 Paradox for winning the 2023 First in Texas Regional Impact Award. These 7 teams will compete for their respective respected awards at Worlds in 2 weeks, so good luck to you all. I also want to give a couple more shoutouts. A huge congratulations to David Novinsky from 6672 Fusion Corp and Michael Ray from 6800 Valor for becoming the 2 First in Texas Woody Flowers Finalist Awards. I've met these people before multiple times, and they deserve this award. Congratulations. I also want to congratulate the 5 First in Texas First Dean's List of finalists, Minsha Guthapana from 118, Audria Smith from 1296, Christian Rodriguez from 1164, Catherine 2 from 2468, and Shreyas Voss from 1477. Congratulations. Now that Week 6 has come to an end, I want to congratulate all the teams that have competed this season. Congratulations to the 30 teams in First in Texas that has qualified for the 2023 FRC World Championship, and I am excited to see what you all will do. Now back to you, Steve.
The Pacific Northwest District Championship this weekend is definitely an event to remember. Before the event, there were a few standout teams. Some of them, 2910, coming into the event with 3 district wins, 2046 with high-level performance year after year, 2930, who has a very competitive bot this year with 1 district win, and 2521, returning from dominating Oregon State Fair 2 weeks ago. With many other amazing teams throughout this competitive district, there was a toss-up for the top team of the event. In qualification matches, there were many highs and lows for all teams at this event. There were many reliability issues, namely 2046 who had inconsistent performance in their first few matches, and 3636 who were having Robo-Rio issues. But above them all, 2910 had fantastic performance with an 11-1 record in qualification matches, with their only loss being in qualification 95, where they were against 955, CV Robotics, 4911, who are the Cyber Knights, and 3060, the Revolution, in all competitive teams. Also, they were able to tie the world record score with 2046 and 1983, putting up 192 points clean between the three of them. Behind them, 3663 concluded in second, having a very consistent performance throughout the event. With many teams worthy of winning this event, the Alliance selection was looking to be a mystery. In Alliance selection, 2910 Jack in the Bot chose 2046 Bare Metal and 948 NRG. The second Alliance, captained by 3663 CPR, chose 7461 Sushi Squad and 4915 Spartronics. In round 1, the 8th Alliance put up a good fight against the 1st Alliance, with them putting up 183 points. The 1st Alliance was sent to round 2, where they faced the 5th Alliance. The top-seeded Alliance calling in a backup, 1983 Skunkworks, before this match, where they were against the 5th Alliance captained by 955 CV Robotics with 3636 the Generals and 2412 the Robotids. Lost due to dying on the field mid-match to a close 177 to 184 match, sending Alliance 1 to the lower bracket and Alliance 5 to the upper bracket, went on to face the Alliance 8, 360, 3218, and 1778, where they had an even closer 181 to 188 match in favor of the first seed. Onto Alliance 1's last match before the finals. They again faced the 5th seed, winning this match, putting the 5th seed into the 3rd seed overall. And this sent the number 1 Alliance to finals, where they faced the 6th-seeded Alliance captained by 4682, the Cybears, with 1540, the Flaming Chickens, and 1425, Error Code 0. In the first finals match, 4682 was having Robo-Rio problems, making them die mid-match, sending Alliance 1 to victory. In Finals 2, Alliance 6 had to call in a backup, 4061, to replace 4682 on the field, which allowed the number 1 seed to pull victory. Congrats to 2910, Jack in the Bot, 2046, Bare Metal, 948, NRG, and 1983, Skunkworks for winning. Also to 4682, the Cybears, 1540, the Flaming Chickens, 1425, Error Code 0, and 4061, Cyborgs for being finalists. Also, congrats to 4450, Olympia Robotics Federation, and 2635, the Lake Monsters for winning Engineering Inspiration. Also to 2412, the Robotoads, and 4131, the Iron Patriots for winning Impact, and to 9023, the Future Martians for winning Rookie All-Star. Congrats to all these teams and the 22 Pacific Northwest teams headed to the World Championship in the coming days, making a very competitive district with many teams surely to leave it end. Now, back to you, Steve.
And thank you for tuning into FRC Recap for Week 6 of the Charged Up season. If you're watching live, stay tuned for FRC Roundup for our open table discussion on Charged Up for this week and beyond with guest Marco from 3005 the Robo Chargers. Special thanks to all those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation. Your support really helps us continue to make great content. Don't forget that you can watch FRC Recap archived at youtube.com/firstupdatesnow. On behalf of producer Tyler Olds and all of our fun correspondents, I'm Steve Londo. Thanks for watching and good luck to all teams competing in the World Championships next week. I'll see you next time on FRC Recap, and I will see you in Houston.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. Kettering University is looking for talented robotics students who want to continue learning and innovating in a hands-on, real-world experience format. Kettering University representatives will be at dozens of FIRST events this season, including the championship. Go to kettering.edu/first to see which events you can meet a Kettering University representative. FRC competition season is here. Submit your favorite moments to FRC Clips of the Week by each Sunday at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. Also, the FRC Top 25 poll is open Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern to Monday 5 p.m. Eastern, where you can vote for your top 25 teams of the week at firstupdatesnow.com/FRC Top 25. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.